Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the internet. I'm Tidbit Productions, and today I'm doing more schedule previews just like I did last week. Today I'll be doing some SEC schools. I'll be doing Florida and Kentucky. I think Florida's got a difficult as hell schedule, and Kentucky's is fairly not hard. So, yeah, I'm not doing my picks for these games, but I'm gonna be previewing over them. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into this thing. Alright, you start your season out right here on August 31st against number 24, Miami. Miami, they were horrendous last season. Second year under Mario Cristobal. No, was it third? Was it when 20... Was it 22 or last year, Mario Cristobal's first season there? I think it was 22, but, yeah, you start your season off at at home against Miami. Miami has to play in the Swamp. This is a former rivalry game of Florida's. They don't meet annually anymore, but this is still going to be a big game because you know, Miami, they're like haven't been good much. Lost their bowl game. You know, had some embarrassing losses, like they didn't take a knee against Tech last year, so embarrassing stuff. But actually, I think Miami would probably be the favorite in way too early odds. But this is still going to be a tough game. Going to be in Gainesville, tough environment for Miami. But both fans would probably really want to win this game. You know, because I think Florida needs this win the most, because they gotta prove they can beat some teams, and Miami is not the greatest team in the world, but you know, we'll see. Then they're at home against Sanford Bulldogs. Sanford is an FCS school. Should be an easy win for Florida right there. Then you're at home against Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a questionable team. I think they'll be better than they were last year. First year under Duke, former Duke head coach Mike Elko. He left Duke to come to Texas A&M. Probably A&M would be a favorite in the early odds for this game. I would think so, but this is in the Swamp. Tough as hell environment for Texas A&M. I think A&M will be in the early odds, but I think Florida could give them a good scare, though. This could be a really close, good game to watch out for. You know, early in the season, first SEC game on Florida's schedule. Close game to watch out for, because Texas A&M, they haven't been good the past few seasons under Jimbo Fisher, so we'll see how it was under Mike Elko. You know, they lost to Oklahoma State, but they're in a rebuilding process right now. So we'll just have to see when this game is played, if they win this Miami game or not. Then they're at Davis-Wade Stadium in Starkville against Mississippi State, road game. But Mississippi State is horrendous. They've had several different coaches in the past few years. Mike Leach died in 22. They promote Zach Arnett to head coach. They fire him. And they bring in, well, whatever that guy's name from Oklahoma's OC was, they bring in his head coach. I don't expect much good from Mississippi State. Like, Will Rogers is leaving the program, so I don't expect much out of him. So I think Florida would be a favorite in this game right now, but, you know, we'll have to see. Then they're at home against, they get a bye week on September 28th, which would be that'd be week 5. But then they're at home against the UCF Knights. UCF, they were 6-6 last year, lost to Georgia Tech in the bowl game. I don't expect much out of them. Second year into the Big 12 for them. They play all 3 Power 5 opponents in Florida, don't they? Miami, yeah, UCF, and Florida State. So, you know, UCF, they have a lot of work to do, but I think Florida would be a favorite in this game right now. Just early odds, but I don't know. But this is probably a game Florida, the most winnable, one of the more winnable games on this schedule, because this schedule is tough. We'll get to this in a minute, but damn. Then they're on the road at Tennessee and Knoxville now. Tennessee, they're questionable too. They're ranked 16 in early odd polls, but alright. Now, Tennessee lost to Florida in the Swamp last year. That was in the Swamp. Tennessee hasn't won there in 20 years. But this is a whole other thing. They're on the road, or they're at home against them. Tennessee gets them at home. I think Tennessee's going to be an improved team compared to what we saw out of them last year. They had some bad losses. They got blown out by Georgia at home. Lost to Florida. Who else did Tennessee lose to last year? I can't. Oh, yeah, they lost to Alabama. Somebody else, but... Oh, yeah, Missouri. Okay. But, so Tennessee, they bring Nico in at QB. I think that's a big upgrade over Joe Milton. So, Tennessee's gonna be a pretty big favorite in the early odds of this game, most likely. So, yeah, that's that right there. Then they're at home against Kentucky. Now, I like Mark Stoops as a head coach. I think he's a good coach. But Kentucky, they've had some... They just lost to Clemson. Pretty bad, not really good Clemson team. I mean, who's kind of fallen off. They had a losing season in 22. They lost to South Carolina last year. Kentucky's not as good under Mark Stoops as they have been, but they bring in Brock Vandegrift at quarterback. I think that's a big improvement for them, but this game is in the Swamp, so Florida's going to have the advantage. I think Kentucky would most likely be a small favorite in this game, but this is also a more winnable game. I don't know if Florida's going to pull it off or not, but Kentucky beat the shit out of them last year, but that game was in Lexington. This is in the Swamp, so whole other story here, but this would be one of the more winnable games for Florida here. Alright, you get your bye week, your second bye week on October 26th. Usually they would play Georgia this weekend, but I know they did the past couple years, but they get a bye week there. Then you play your Jacksonville game against UGA. Georgia's going to be a big favorite over Florida. Georgia's blown them out the past. The last time Florida beat UGA was in 2020 during COVID. This is going to be... UGA would be a big favorite. This UGA is one of the best, if not the best team in the country right now. They bring in a huge loaded roster. This defense is going to be wild next year. Same with offense. Some more key pieces in. Some transfer portal pickups for Georgia. Georgia's just going to be loaded. They're going to be the favorite and should win this game. Yeah, that's going to be most likely a loss there. Texas, or you're on the road at Texas and DKR. Now look, Texas, this is just freaking brutal. Georgia and Texas back to back. Texas under Quinn Ewers is returning at quarterback for them. Steve Sarkisian is offensive genius to say the least. He's had a lot of success there. I don't see Florida. I think Texas is going to be a big favorite. I don't see Florida pulling it off, but yeah, that would be another almost guaranteed L for Florida. Then they play LSU at home. They're going to be a loaded team as well. Brian Kelly's third year there. They lose Jaden Daniels, Heisman-winning QB, to the NFL. That's a big loss. They lost their offensive coordinator. But, I think Brian Kelly is an offensive mind, so I think he's going to fix that up. This offense was loaded last year. I think they will be again, but, they're ranked number 12 right now. Now this is in the swamp, so big advantage for Florida here, but this is just too much of a tough game for Florida, I think. So, but LSU will be a significant favorite. Yeah, we'll see. Then they're at home against Ole Miss again, another home game for them. Ole Miss is a top 10 team. Lane Kiffin, another offensive mind. He's really got this Ole Miss program going. Last year, their only 2 losses were to Georgia and Bama. He's really got it going. I think Ole Miss will be a big favorite in this game by early odds. So this is going to be another, their 4th tough game in a row. In the swamp, so big advantage for Florida, but Ole Miss should be able to win. Then you got on the road at number 15, Florida State in Tallahassee. Now, Florida State was undefeated last year. Florida State barely won this game, but you know, I don't think Florida State will be as good as they were last year. But I think they're gonna be favorite in this game, most likely win it, but they've got some. I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year, but this should be a winnable game for them. They'll be big favorites most likely, and yeah, this is just a brutal ass schedule. So yeah. All right, so here's Kentucky's schedule. Fairly easy. I mean, there's some really tough games on here, but not as bad as Florida when you look at that. So, alright, let's start off. Your first week you're at home against the Southern Miss Eagles. Group of 5 teams, should be an easy win. South Carolina. Now, South Carolina actually beat Kentucky last year. That was a pitiful game. South Carolina won like 10-7. Pitiful, piss poor performance by Kentucky. They should have won that game. Alright, but I think Kentucky should be a small favorite in this game right here against South Carolina. This is a home game for Kentucky, first SEC game. So, you know, we'll see. But, yeah. So, this seems like a winnable game for Kentucky, but you never know. Alright, then they're at home. They get their first 4 games at home. On the week 3, they're at home against Georgia. You know, Georgia, just like I mentioned earlier, they got the better roster. They got the better coaching staff. Pretty much everything over Kentucky. Georgia's going to be a big favorite. I mean, I don't know, though, because last time Georgia and Kentucky played in Lexington was 2 years ago. We had Stetson Bennett playing in there and the rest of our offense, and our defense wasn't playing good in that game either. We were up 9-0, only 3 field goals against these bastards at halftime, and pretty much we just hang on to win by a thread. I think Kentucky scored in the second half. We got one more touchdown in the second half, and we won 16-6 against these guys. So Georgia struggled mightily the last time we played Kentucky on the road, but you know, this is a whole other team compared to 2022, so I think we should win this game by more, but, you know, I don't know. Georgia's going to be a big favorite in that one. Then they're at home in week 4, week 4 against Ohio Bobcats. Ohio has always been like a really bad MAC team, but the past couple of years, they've got some sort of magic going here, and they did a lot last season, okay? They're a solid MAC school, so they deserve that credit, but I don't think they're going to be I mean, I know what happened with Auburn and New Mexico State last year, but Kentucky is a slightly better team than Auburn is, so this should be a win for Kentucky. I think they'll be a favorite. I don't see why they wouldn't be a favorite over Ohio, but you know, your guess is as good as mine. So, Kentucky should open up as a significant favorite here. Alright, this is going to be an interesting matchup, I think. They're on the road at Ole Miss. You know, Ole Miss is top 10. They're going to be a big favorite in this one. It's at home in Oxford for Ole Miss. Mark Stoops versus Lane Kiffin. That's going to be a good matchup to watch. You know, I'm excited to see Kentucky's defense try to slow down Ole Miss's offense. That is going to be a good matchup to watch. I pick Ole Miss early, but you know, you don't know, you never know. So this could be a key matchup to look out for. But we don't know yet or how good Ole Miss will be when this game is played at the end of September. So we'll see. Then they get a bye week on October 5th before they go home and play Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt beat them in Lexington 2 years ago. But, you know, you remember that was the year Vanderbilt actually won 2 SEC games to beat Florida at home and Kentucky in Lexington. I don't think we'll see a repeat of what happened 2 years ago. Just Clark Lee, there was a lot of expectations around Clark Lee and Vanderbilt compared to what they did in 2022 last off season, and it just went horribly wrong. Vanderbilt won 2 games early in the season and lost the rest. They finished 2-10. They were a horrendous team last year, but I don't think we'll see. I don't expect much out of Vandy this year. Probably not much better. Maybe another win or 2 if they're lucky. But you know, I don't really have any expectations for Vanderbilt. Kentucky will be open up as a big favorite in this one. Then they're at Florida on October 19th. In the Swamp. I talked about this game earlier. Florida is horrendous. They have 3 straight losing seasons, 3 straight under Billy Napier, who I think won't be at Florida much longer, but, you know, this should be a winnable game for Kentucky. I think Kentucky would most likely be favorited. Kentucky blew them out in Lexington last year, but this game is on the road, so a whole other story than last year. But, you know, I think it's going to be, Kentucky would be probably a 3, 4, 5 point favorite right now. Maybe favored by a touchdown. I'll give them that. Probably at least a 7-point favorite in this game over Florida. But, you know, we'll see. It's going to be a big atmosphere for them to compete in. Alright, this is a probably maybe even bigger atmosphere. October 26th, you're on the... this isn't a home game. My bad. But I forgot that this wasn't a road game for them. But that was OU. That was a road game for Auburn. But alright, so October 26th, you're at home against Auburn. Now Auburn's questionable. They were horrendous last year. They probably will be. I mean, I don't expect much more out of Auburn. I think they'll maybe be slightly improved. They've got quarterback issues. Peyton Thorne, I just don't think he's all that. But you know, Hugh Freeze, however you pronounce the damn name, is his 2nd season there. Now, Hugh Freeze has had some success as a coach in the past. I'm not saying that he never will have a successful season at Auburn. But, you know, till we see it on the field, I don't know, man. For Auburn, they've had some ridiculous losses. They lost to New Mexico State at home. They lost to Georgia. They almost beat Georgia and Bama last year, but, you know, came up short there. They got blowed out by Maryland in their bowl game, which was kind of horrendous of them. But Auburn, you know, I think Kentucky would be the favorite in this one. But we'll see how good Auburn is. I'm really interested to watch Auburn next season because Hugh Freeze, he had some success at Ole Miss in the past. So, you know, it's going to be interesting if he could turn Auburn around or not. But, you know, we'll see there. But I think Kentucky would slightly be the favorite. Alright, then they're at Tennessee and Neyland. This Tennessee would be the favorite here. Alright, so last time Tennessee and Kentucky played in Knoxville 2 years ago, that was just, Tennessee blew them out. They couldn't stop Tennessee's offense at all. I don't think many people who played in Neyland could, but I don't think Kentucky has much of a chance here. I'm sorry, Wildcats, but You're playing an offense like Tennessee on the road. I mean, I think Tennessee. This isn't the same Tennessee team we saw in 22. They were not great last year, but I think Tennessee will be slightly improved than what we saw last year. Nico's coming in at quarterback. It's going to be a whole another Tennessee team than what we saw last year. Yeah, last time they played in Lexington last year, Kentucky. Wasn't there like a one-score game when Kentucky and Tennessee played last year, somewhere in there. It was close till the very end of the fourth quarter. So Tennessee, I think Tennessee would be the favorite in this one, but we'll see. Then they're off on November 9th, another bye week. Then they play Murray State, FCS school, easy win for them there. Alright, tough game, November 23rd, late November, on the road at Texas and Austin, at DKR. Texas, I'm telling you, they're loaded. Texas and Georgia are the two toughest games on the schedule. Quinn Ewers returning a lot. They got a lot returning on coaching staff, too. Steve Sarkisian has got it rolling over there. I think his success will continue but especially this is a night game, but Texas, they got a lot returning. They'll be big favorites in this one. I don't expect too much out of Kentucky in that one. But then they play Louisville at home. They beat Louisville last year. Louisville made a playoff run last year. Okay, if they won the ACC title game, it would have been questionable had they gone into the playoffs. They had one loss, and it was to a terrible Pitt team. Kentucky went on the road and beat them on rivalry week, 38-31, I think it was. Spoiled anything they had left to play for, pretty much. Sorry, but spoiled anything they had left to play for. But Louisville does have a solid offense, I think. So it's going to be good. I think Louisville would be the early favorite in this one. They're ranked 21st in the nation right now, so we'll see. But yeah, that's Kentucky's 24 schedule. All right, well that's it for Kentucky and Florida. Florida's got it hard, man. That's a brutal ass schedule. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think Billy Napier will survive this year unless if he wins some of these big games. I don't think he's going to, but you never know. Kentucky, questionable team. They bring in some talent, especially Brock Vandegrift from UGA. Big pickup for them, so we'll see what Mark Stoops can do there next year, but I'm really interested to watch. But yeah, that's my full schedule preview for Kentucky and Florida. I don't know who I'm going to do next week. I want to do Georgia and Bama one week, my dogs, and Alabama, LSU and Tennessee, Missouri and South Carolina. I want to do the rest of those schools. Ohio State and Michigan, I want to talk about them too, and Oregon and Washington. So many schedules I want to do, but I have a tight schedule. I run my other channel, so yeah, we'll see. But thanks for watching, guys, and yeah, I'll see you.